Second Amendment rights. I spoke with West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin, a lifelong member of the National Rifle Association. Senator Manchin, thank you so much for joining us today. This is a very difficult time for the nation. It is a difficult time for everyone. But you, as a National Rifle Association lifelong member, a leader, and a senator, have a special obligation. Has this changed everything?
Andrea, it's changed me. And I don't think there's a West Virginian that I know, and not a person living in my state, that hasn't been moved by this horrific crime against our children. And we've never seen this happen before, nor could we ever expect anything like this to happen. So I think it has changed from the standpoint of we as adults should come together. One of the promises we make to our children, one of the 5 promises Colin Powell talks about, is every child should have a safe place in their life where harm cannot enter or do them any danger. And sometimes it's not always the home. Usually it's always the school, and that's been taken away from us. So we have to reevaluate. As you said, I'm a life member of the NRA. I'm a proud member, and I want to bring all of my friends in the NRA in on this discussion. They need to be part of this dialogue of how we move forward. We can protect the Second Amendment rights. We definitely can protect it, and we will protect it. But we can look at also ways that we can make our country and our children more safe. I really believe that we can sit down and have that dialogue and hopefully movement on that.
I've heard calls for dialogue before in commissions, and with all due respect, I've seen so many incidents in the presidency of Barack Obama alone, and no engagement at all from this president during the campaign or from the other side. Going all the way back now, today we see Joe Califano writing how LBJ tried in the days after Robert Kennedy was killed in 1968 to do something to move the nation, and he failed. And a minimal piece of legislation was signed by President Johnson in October of 1968 with great anger that he expressed at what the gun lobby did. So how is this going to be different?
Andrea, never before in my lifetime. I've seen a president get assassinated. I've seen attempts on president. I've seen Martin Luther King and Robert Kennedy get assassinated. I've seen the violence at the other schools. Never have we seen this many children, babies of ours, ever be in this horrific crime against them, and a tragedy. I can only imagine the pain, the suffering families are going through. How can we reach out and help them? This has affected all of us differently than anything's ever affected me, and I'm sure other people. But this is bigger than just guns, Andrea. We're talking about how we deal with mental illness, how we protect our children, how do we change this culture of violence. My friend Joe Lieberman, just a beautiful person, and Joe's right when he says this should be looked at a much bigger. How do we even glorify some of the violence that we promote, and we sell games encouraging these types of, everything needs to be evaluated and talked about, who we are.
Senator, acknowledging that we have to talk about mental health, we have to talk about video games, but on the narrow issue of guns, are you willing to work with Dianne Feinstein and try to do something about these semi-automatic, these weapons of war, as Mike Bloomberg described it on Meet the Press?
Well, what I've said, Andrea, I says, you know, I've been a hunter. I just came off of a hunting trip with my family, deer hunting, and I don't know of anybody that goes hunting with an assault rifle. I don't know anybody that needs those types of multiple clips as far as ammunition in a gun. The most that I've ever used in my hunting rifle is 3 shells. Usually you get 1 shot, and very seldom ever 2. This doesn't make a lot of sense, and this has to be brought to this level now, and it's a shame, an absolute travesty to this country and who we are as Americans, for this to happen and bring it to this level. But I'm willing to speak out on it, and yes, we're looking at everything, not just the guns, but yes, Dianne Feinstein, Chuck Schumer talking about the multiple clips as far as rounds and clips, Joe Lieberman talking about putting a blue ribbon panel. All this needs to be done. And, you know, it really has changed us. It's changed me.
Well, let's hope it's changed the nation, and with your leadership it can. Thank you so much, Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia. Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.